Welcome back, friends and fam, and I am so excited to start this video off. Mostly because I've had to answer the same exact questions over and over in the past couple of days. And I'm just really excited to try and get this information to you today. There is a lot that I want to talk about, so more likely than less, I'm probably going to be all over the place. But if you're here, I'm guessing you're looking for a guide on how to start the game. Everything probably seems all kinds of confusing to you. We're going to start right from the beginning, okay? Before you watch this guide, or if there's anything that you don't yet understand, I want you to hop over to your YouTube, literally type in Onmyoji guide, and sift through them. There's already tons of guides out there. I mean, I remember when I first started playing this game, I lived on YouTube on a daily basis. I think there's a really awesome YouTuber by the name of Zaf. I loved his videos. His videos were really helpful. There's a guide for the Onmyoji interface, there's a guide for souls, there's a guide for all those sort of things. So, if you're asking yourself why I'm making a guide when there's already tons of guides out there, well, I'm here to answer some of the things that I didn't find on their guides. Starting off with some of the useful Shiki that I really hope to see you guys using. So I have a small alt account. On that alt account, I'm only level 15 or so. Every once in a while, I hop in there and I see people using all kinds of odd teams. Regardless to what Shiki you have, it's very easy to put together a makeshift useful team. So let's get right started into the useful Shiki that you want to pick right from the get-go in order to have an easy progression from early game to late. I'm going to be pulling up my Onmyoji right here. I'm going to be talking about basically the top tier PvE Shiki that you're going to keep an eye out for. Let's start off with, everybody loves SSR, so let's start off with SSR. The two main ones that I'm going to be talking about, first of all, is Yotohime and ootengu. If you're lucky enough to get either of these two Shiki in your first couple of weeks of playing, I'm telling you right now, you are very lucky. Not a lot of people get that. Both of these Shiki excel a lot in PvE, and if you have either of them, then you're good to go. These guys are going to be your main DPS. So you're asking, what do I do if I don't have either of these guys? Well, it's not a problem. Over here in the SR section, you have ootengu. ootengu is also just as strong, maybe like the tiniest bit weaker, but I mean she gets the job done. She's very strong AoE, and she even has great single target as well. Moving on from there, I really want to talk about, almost forgot. If you don't have ubume or ootengu or Yotohime, you still have another option. I think here he is. Kuro is also a very good option for PvE. If you don't have either of those, I would probably just say wait. Just kind of like play with what you got and just try and be patient. Don't invest in anything else. Don't invest any of your skill duras into any of the other SSRs. Why? A lot of these other SSRs are for PvP or for other purposes. They're not bad for PvE. For example, Sasabi is actually not too bad at PvE. He might be really strong. He recently came out, so I don't know much about him. But I see a lot of people who end up with Iba, and they want to use him as their first DPS. Iba is a very strong character, don't get me wrong, but he's just not something I really enjoy or would recommend for you to use. Why? Because he requires an absurd amount of crit damage. Even on my main Shiki, and I've been playing for 55 days for an absurd amount, I have pretty low crit damage on both of them. Getting a high crit damage late game is one of the harder things to do. So trying to use somebody that's really requires high quality souls to get you to the point where you can start farming for high quality souls doesn't work so well. I have a couple of friends who, invested a lot into Iba and then dropped the game because they feel like they got stuck or ended up in a position where they couldn't continue playing the game. Not to mention, you do have to target a lot on him in Soul 10, but we'll get to that later. That's not too important. Okay, so now we kind of went over the idea, or we kind of went over the top top tier PvE DPS to start off with. If you have any questions about these other SSR and what they kind of excel in, please don't hesitate to ask in the comments. I'd be more than happy to tell you guys in another video about what each SSR does best. Hannah is bae. Okay, moving on. I want you guys not to simply focus on your on your damage. Having strong supports is extremely important. I can't tell you how many times on my level 14 or 15 account I join a party without either Shiki or I call him Frog, or her Frog. I call her Frog, Lolly Frog, whatever you want to call her. Both of these are extremely important for gameplay. You need Zash in order to feed your team orbs. Without orbs, your DPS won't get the chance to use their skills, and without Froggy, your team isn't gonna go first. So if you have them, if you got them, use them. Invest, put some time into putting souls on them. You can put Fortune Cat on the Frog. You can go ahead and put Fortune Cat, or what's the other one that they use? Here we go. Basin, Azura Basin also works. I'm going to go into a little more detail on how to build them for late game a little later on. And please don't use my souls as an example of what yours should be looking like as well. I can't tell you how many times new players equip the highest grade souls they can, but we're going to go into that later. So now you have a small idea of what your basic team should look like when you start playing the game. You should have one DPS, one Zash, or one or two DPS, one depending on what you're doing, one Zash, one Yama. From there on, you can have a little bit of flexibility on your second DPS, or if you wanted a healer. As for healers, your three options starting off are probably going to be Ibisu. Actually, let's just go with two options. Probably Ibisu, what's her name? Kusa, and I guess you could say Momo, but I wouldn't worry about Momo too long for now. She's also pretty soul hungry, and you might want to wait until later to deal with her. And that's all I really want to talk about for now. If that gives you a good idea on what your first current team should look like, hopefully you can avoid making some of the mistakes I see out there today, which would be, investing in the wrong Shiki early, or going into a PvE scenario without the right tools and wondering why you're unable to kill the boss. Well, if you don't have orbs and you don't have an accelerator, more likely than less, you're going to have a hard time killing the boss. If you have any questions about how to most efficiently farm for XP or souls, or when the correct time is to farm for XP, when you should stop farming XP and switch to souls, or how to set up your souls, please leave a comment down below, and I can in detail go on about how to put together soul sets for each of your Shiki. Just open up a profile right here. It wouldn't be too hard for me to put a video together on what you want to put together for your support, for your attack, for your DPS. Alright, well, that's it for today's video. I am going to hopefully see you guys in game, and have a great day.